morning. I'm Dennis, Daryl's youngest son, and I'd like to thank you all for coming today. I've been trying to think of what to say about Dad for the past month since he's been gone, and my thoughts keep going in different directions as one memory leads to another. And it's been a great trip down memory lane. There are so many facets to Dad's life, but the one central theme in his life was his love for his country, 23 years of active duty, for his family, Mom, Daryl, Junior, myself, and our families, for his friends from bowling, golfing, and his fishing buddies, and for you, his fellow veterans. But in the last years especially, it's been you guys. You gave him a purpose, a cause for living that kept him going. From working to make the post viable and self-sustaining, working to make the monument in Central Park possible, and just bellying up to the bar at the VFW or the Legion, swapping stories. He loved that. He was honored to have the privilege of serving on the honor guard and felt it was his duty to be there when one of his brothers passed, just as you are doing today. And I thank you. I miss my dad and will miss him every day for the rest of my life. But I am so proud of him. And I know his spirit lives on in the things he loved. I only hope that I can have half the adventures and good friends that he has had. I'll keep this short because he told me several times that as he got older, it became harder and harder to do his honor guard duties when the speaker droned on and on. So I'd like to invite you all down to the Legion to raise a glass and toast Dad one last time, or as many times as you'd like, because Dad always wanted this day to be a celebration. Thanks.
First, thanks to all Dad's buddies, the veterans, for being here. We really appreciate it. He asked for this, and you guys came out in spades for him. We really appreciate that. And to all the friends that came to join us today to celebrate, in particular, after this, we're going to, as Dennis said, we're gonna have a celebration, and that's what he wanted. Wanted to kind of simplify things and present Dad by the numbers. So here we go, by the numbers. Born December 1925, died just 4 months shy of his 90th birthday. He had two sisters, no brothers, 2 children, 8 grandchildren, evenly balanced, 4 boys, 4 girls. 7 angioplasties, 5 stents, 1 quadruple bypass. There's some numbers, huh? That's a fight for life. Definitely inspired us. 100% Okie, I'm proud of it. When that song Okie from Muskogee came out, we heard that innumerable times. 30 years of service to his country between the Army and Civil Service. 6 wartime tours of duty overseas, plus post-war occupation in Italy and Japan. 2 Purple Hearts. And these weren't scratches. He got the first one in World War II, 3 days before VE Day in Czechoslovakia. It was a German machine gun fire in his thigh and his leg. I don't know how this bone and femoral artery, but you know, that was one of his many 9 lives that he used. And the second was in Korea. He was in that first batch of the 8th Army that went in early. Were overrun by the Chinese. He was taking cover in a cemetery behind a gravestone, and an artillery round went off in the tree behind him, peppered him up pretty good. He pretended to be dead, which he said was easy because he was covered in blood. He was a mess, and the Chinese overran him by 7 miles. So here's another example of a fight for life. 7 miles after dark, he went back through the enemy lines. He got to the front line and over to the American side, and then was told, we're they're pulling back, they were retreating. And in the morning, so either he could stay there and be captured, or go back with them, take a gun and go back. He, you know, fight for life. He continued on and fought on and moved back with them. And the story I like to tell about that is that, you know, he had a MASH unit, just like the show MASH. He had some quick med service out there in the field, but then when we were kids, back in the 60s, there was that, some of that smaller shrapnel that would come, kind of coming out, festering out of his skin, and we used to, he'd lay on his belly in the living room, and we'd pick the little piece of the metal out of his back as it came up. That's the kind of guy we were talking about here. That was entertainment for the kids. You know, we had a simple life. So back to the numbers. Over half a dozen medals of commendation as an individual. Numerous unit citations. We never saw all these on his uniform. We were talking about this. We got all of his medals up here, but you know, Dad was not a show-off. And you know, we have a picture of him with, I think it was when he was a master sergeant. You know, he ended up as a top kick, first sergeant, highest non-commissioned officer rank. And but we never had a picture of him with his highest rank and all his medals. He was definitely not the front reach show guy. 30 years of service to the VFW posts in Spring Lake and Grand Haven. Over a decade of leading the parade and being the parade coordinator for the Spring Lake Memorial Day Parade. And the biggest number is a gazillion. That's the number of games of chess, cribbage, poker, pool, ping pong, and bowling that he beat Dennis and I in. And some of my cousins here know about his capabilities of playing chess. You know, for a guy that seemed to lead such a simple life, he had a very sharp brain, a very logical guy. So, serviceman, husband, father. What we really pick up from this is dedication and perseverance. These are kind of the two key words for me about my dad. Dedicated to, obviously, to his country, and then to the family, and then back after, through the phases of his life, back to community, country, if you will. From a family standpoint, my brother and I were incredibly blessed to have parents like my dad and my mom. Polar opposites. As Pastor Dan said, how he connived to get an angel on earth with a guy who is radical, let me put it that way. That gave Dennis and I a good balance, but we're incredibly blessed to have parents like that. My dad made my brother and I feel like we were truly loved and special individuals. He inspired us, made us confident to be all that we could be and achieve all that we could on our own. There was no backup in terms of support other than just real strong mental support, psychological support, confidence in being able to do what you can with your own two hands and your own capabilities. So this gives us, you know, we're self-made men. We're trying to instill that in our kids. And he set the bar high for us with this unconditional love, no matter what we failed at, what we attempted at, what we were successful at. You know, we knew we had unconditional love. We always had parents that we could come back to. And this is the kind of thing that, as a parent, that you want to try to inspire in your kids, is to, if you got a good pathfinder for you to follow. He was, you know, he was a sergeant. You know, everybody has these visions of a sergeant and what that means. Yeah, he was straight-laced and there was a hard backbone there, but he gave us all the rein we wanted. He gave us enough rope to hang ourselves, and it came to that. As we got older, the reins got looser. He let us fail, win, learn, and advance on our own. And again, you know, that's what we try to inspire in our kids, is to be self-sufficient. He taught us loyalty and dedication by example, taking care of Mom twice a day for 6 years while she was going through the hell of Alzheimer's, and made sure she was taken care of. Set the bar high for us. But it's a mission that we'll take on with a lot of confidence, and that we take on with joy and pleasure. So to finish on a different note, Darryl-isms. Anybody who knew my dad knew he had a repertoire of sayings. Here we go. When entering a room, what would he say? Who's in charge here and why am I? Interesting combination of question and statement, huh? Fair to Midland. Translates as I'm doing well. You know, when you ask him how's he doing, there was another response. Should I say it next company, but you all know what it is? One word. But you knew it was a joke. He had a great life. More Darryl-isms. Does a wild boar hockey in the Bavarian Alps? Is the Pope a Catholic? Is a coon dog in Tennessee? All these are, why of course, certainly. Mabel's. That's a response to a phone call. Mabel's house of ill repute. Response to a phone call when he was in a good mood. Nut and honey. Standard response when you ask him what's happening. Here's one. I don't know what this applied to. I just know we heard it so much that it's memorized. It's burned into me. It's got to be something from the military. Stand on your head in the corner, stack BBs, and inspect troops passing in review. I don't know if you guys have heard that one before, but that was a good one that it just come out every now and then. How do you like those apples? And that was used when there was a punishment offered up if we didn't behave. Mullet, that was the nickname for my brother and I when we were younger. Big Galoot is what he called us when we got older. I'm gonna whoop the tar out of you, boy. That was a warning to my brother and me when we were getting out of line. Get off your coondigi. Get off your coondigi. I don't know if that's some kind of Japanese, Okie Japanese, but it means get up and do what I told you to do. Hit the sack. That was always go to bed. And then hit it. That was typically with a gruff tone. Was usually a second notice to do something he told us to do when we were moving a little slow getting at it. That's one that I picked up on, and it seems very appropriate for my boys sometimes. Pert near, almost. After saying grace at dinner, and a number of you have heard this, he'd always chime in. There's an old thorny saying, he who eats the fastest gets the mostest. And believe me, with my brother and me when we were growing up, that was very applicable. Let's see. Frozen mystery. When we were kids, we would ask him about a movie we were watching. And he'd say, what's coming up? What is that? What's going to happen? And he'd just say frozen mystery, but then he'd give us a little bit of a clue. And I swear, every movie that we watched as kids, he knew what was going on. It's like he had seen them all before. And then he'd just kind of break out in song every now and then. And the favorite one line was T for Texas, T for Tennessee. That's a new one. I haven't released it yet. Is the closing on that. So he left us a lot. What a legacy. It's inspirational to us. It's something that we try to pass on to our kids. He led a simple life, but look how much he left behind and left for all of us. Quite a guy.